So welcome everyone.
I was about to say that.
Oh
Go
yeah,
on.
okay. We'll probably cross over when we quite a bit. So yeah, welcome everyone, and this is the start of 4 weeks, and we're going to be talking about the five Buddha mandala. Favourite of ours, I think we could say. I'm going to hand over to Bodhivajra in a little while. He's going to talk about mandalas, and in particular this mandala. But I'm going to talk in a broad way about the five Buddha mandala, and then each week we're going to take a different aspect of all of them and talk about that. So, where to begin? Well, why have five Buddhas? You know, isn't one Buddha enough? So when we look at this particular Buddha, as you know, I think probably most of you know, it's the Buddha Shakyamuni, the one who lived roughly 2,500 years ago and taught us the Dharma, left us the Dharma. And so there he is in meditation. And when you look at that image of the Buddha, it evokes something, doesn't it? Evokes something. That may be something quite mild, or it may be something quite strong. So a lot of people, when they come to the Buddhist Centre, first of all, they might be taken with meditation. And in a way, I think it's quite difficult to see the significance of the Buddha, because until we see our own potential and what we can become, until we really see the big difference that he made by teaching the Dharma, in a way he can seem a bit remote, whereas, you know, a teaching or meditation is kind of more direct in a way. So the Buddha, often when he's represented, the Buddha Shakyamuni is seen as this golden image, rather perhaps unusual looking as well, in robes, and seated in meditation, very serene and so on. But there's a lot to the Buddha, and in a way this five Buddha mandala that we're going to be talking about teases out aspects of the Buddha, teases out his qualities. And this is very helpful for our practice, because the longer that we practice Buddhism, the more we develop our own awareness, and the more we want to, well, in a way, focus on different aspects. Like, for example, sometimes it might be that compassion becomes a kind of key concept in your mind and something that you want to develop. Or it might be something like fearlessness or generosity. And these five Buddhas of the mandala draw out particular aspects, particular Buddha qualities. So they originated from people's meditations. They were, you know, somebody didn't sit down and think, oh, I know what, we'll have five Buddhas and we'll call that one Amoghasiddhi, and we'll call that one something else, Amitabha. Instead, they arose out of meditations. And so, the longer we meditate, the deeper we meditate, we have various experiences, various even visions that can arise from our experiences in meditation. So, over the years, you know, after the Buddha died, many years after he died, people spent a long time in meditation and meditated on particular qualities. So these five Buddhas, there's a whole, world, you could say, a whole world to be explored around these Buddhas. So each one of them has got a different colour. They're all seated in a different direction in space. They're associated with a different animal, a different time of year, even a different time of day. So it's quite a complex arrangement of well, really the whole world. The whole world is to be found. Whole worlds even are to be found in these Buddhas. So, well, you know that like different colours evoke different feelings in ourselves, don't they? Maybe you've got a particular colour that you associate with calmness or with excitement or with passion. And each of these Buddhas, you know, can evoke in us some really strong feelings of devotion, of love, of openness. And so I think over the years, as you practice, often these Buddhas come to mind just because they do evoke something in us. So there aren't just 5 Buddhas, actually there are multiple Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So we have, because we didn't have 5 weeks, we thought we're not just going to divide it into 5 different weeks on each of the Buddhas. Instead, we would look at different aspects, like we might have 1 week on their colours. We might have 1 week on their animals. You know, why are they associated with particular animals, with colours, with times of the day? And I know that Bodhivajra will be doing a week on mudras, on their hand gestures. So that's enough from me, I think, and I'm going to hand over to Bodhivajra mandalas.
Okay, thanks, Vajragupta. So just to say, to start with, that these 5 Buddhas are not actual historical figures. So Shakyamuni was a historical figure, lived 2,500 years ago approximately. But the 5 Buddhas and many other Buddhas are symbolic Buddhas. So it doesn't mean to say that they don't exist. They exist in the world of our imagination, you could say. And symbols are very important things. As well as the Buddha here, we've got other symbols. We've got the sun and the moon in this picture here. The Buddha is seated in meditation, but is seated within the city. So that has some kind of resonance for us, some kind of significance. We've just been sitting here in the middle of the city meditating, aspiring to become Buddhas. So we've used the word mandala a few times, but we may not all be very clear what a mandala is. To put it very simply, a mandala is a pattern or a series of patterns, sometimes just geometrical patterns without any Buddhas present, other times with Buddhas or with other symbols involved. I've got this rather heavy book here, a messy book, and some mandalas are really, really simple, like the one on the front cover of this. You can pass that around. That's just made up of squares and colours that are within another geometric shape, and those colours represent each of the elements: earth, water, fire, air and space. And another very simple mandala image is this one, which actually is a photocopy of one that you drew, Vajragupta. Oh, yeah. So that's got no beings at all in it, but it's got various other things in it, so you can pass that around. And in this book here, I've got this mandala, which, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think there's nine Buddhas in this particular mandala. And this image here, there's so many Buddhas in that I'm not even going to try to count them. Amazing. I don't know how big that picture is in real life, but it's, you can have a look at these if you want as well. keep your finger in there, you can find the other one. Okay, so those are just some general examples of mandala shapes, mandala patterns. Some of you, if you've been especially mindful, you might have noticed when you came in this door, there's a mandala picture on the outside of the door. Did anyone notice that? It's been there for ages. You've probably seen it at some point. Yes, so a mandala has a particular function in Buddhism. It's not just a nice picture to hang on your wall, although you can just hang it on your wall, but it has a particular function which is to reflect aspects of the Buddha, of enlightenment, such as Vajragupta mentioned, compassion or fearlessness or calm or tranquility, wisdom, loving kindness. All of these are different aspects of Buddhahood, and they're all reflected in these mandalas. So in this particular picture here, this is a representation of the mandala of the 5 Buddhas. It's by the same artist actually who made this picture, who's a Norwich-based artist. So you can see there's, if you look quite closely in this light, there's a dark blue Buddha at the bottom, a golden yellow Buddha here, a red Buddha here, a dark green Buddha here, and a white Buddha in the center. Pass that one around. So a mandala that depicts Buddhas and Buddha qualities, we could say, is a symbol that comes from the enlightened mind, or it's a symbol of enlightenment. But there's a whole other aspect to mandalas. So if you can imagine for a moment that there's a big picture somewhere in your mind, and at the center of that picture is yourself. Okay, so all around this image of yourself are a lot of things, an awful lot of things. In fact, there's the whole of your life around this central image of yourself. Or maybe it's not even an image, maybe it's just a sense of who you are. So all your friends will be there somewhere, all your acquaintances, all the people you've ever known, all the people you currently know, and all the different situations you experience yourself in, like work life, home life, social life, all the things that you do, all your interests, all the things that are important to you, and the most important ones will be closer into the center, and those that are less important will be moving out towards the edges, towards the periphery of the mandala, you could say. So, so a mandala image of the 5 Buddhas is an image of enlightenment, and what I've just described, the picture of ourself and our life, we could say is a personal mandala, which is coming at things not so much from enlightenment but from ordinariness. Although you could say that, well, there's not a lot of distinction between ordinariness and enlightenment. But that's another story. We experience things in an ordinary kind of way. We hope to experience enlightenment. Maybe that's what we could say generally about our Buddhist practice. But the pictures I've described are not in any way fixed. So that particular picture of the 5 Buddha mandala has the white Buddha in the middle. But in some systems of Buddhism, some schools of Buddhism, there'll be a different Buddha in the center. And sometimes they change even within the same school of Buddhism. Another Buddha might take particular precedence at a particular time, so they'll move to the center and the others will be around. And that is exactly the same with our life, isn't it? We have a particular love in our life, something which particularly fuels our life, particularly engages us, and that will be right close to the center of our picture, of our mandala. And the other aspects of our life will be around that. But that itself is not fixed either. There may be something suddenly new that comes into our life that we've never even heard of before. Buddhism maybe, or it could be anything. Something new comes in, and so for a time that becomes closer to the center of our mandala. And maybe something else moves away from the center towards the edge. So symbols are not really fixed things, they're open things to be explored and to be related to or connected with. And we relate to them, or we relate to these particular Buddhas, we could say, to get a bit more specific. We relate to them because of particular aspects of ourself or particular qualities in ourself. So, for example, when I first came across the 5 Buddha mandala, which was a long time ago, I can't remember when it was, the Buddha that I most connected with, first of all, was Amoghasiddhi, who is the Buddha of fearlessness, who has his hand like this, his other hand like this. The fearless Buddha, Amoghasiddhi. Now, the reason I connected with the Buddha of fearlessness was not because I was fearless, but because I was the complete opposite of fearless, because I experienced a lot of anxiety and fear in my life. That was a very dominant mental state for me. So that's why I connected with Amoghasiddhi. And I have other connections with other Buddhas in the mandala. We're going to hear in detail about all of these over the next weeks. And we'll probably find there's some we connect with strongly, others we don't connect with at all. Interestingly for me, there's, well, the white Buddha in the center, Vajragupta, I never felt any connection with at all. But then there came a point where I suddenly realized there was a connection. And I started to explore that. And it opened up a whole new, almost literally a whole new universe of possibilities for me. It became very strong, very important for me, that figure. So things change as we evolve. So we need to be open to that. So, yeah, specifically, where's that Buddha picture gone? Could it find its way back to the front, please? Oh, that. Thanks so much. I just want to grab this one. If you could put the others down there. Yeah, great, thanks. Yeah, so Amoghasiddhi, the figure that I mentioned, the fearless one, is this dark green one, who is in the northern direction. Now you might think that geographically we've got this wrong. The north should be up there, shouldn't it? But we haven't got it wrong. Because this comes from Tibetan Buddhism. And in Tibetan Buddhist mandalas, the entrance way to the mandala is always the one which is immediately in front of you, which is down here. And symbolically speaking, the entrance to the mandala is always in the east, which is where dawn happens, isn't it? The beginning of the day. So things start in the east, the mandala starts in the east, and so the eastern direction in the mandala is at the bottom, because that's the bit we'd get to first, isn't it? If we were moving in a straight line. Have I said too much, or have we got a couple of minutes more? Well, we've got another exercise we want to do, you see.
Yeah,
so
have a couple of minutes.
Couple of minutes more, okay. So, so we've got Akshobhya, the dark blue Buddha in the east, which is at the bottom. Moving round the mandala, we've got Ratnasamava, the golden yellow Buddha in the south. And we've got Amitabha, the red Buddha at the top. who is in the western direction, associated with the sunset. Amoghasiddhi, the fearless one, in the north. And traditionally, you go around the mandala in this particular way, and after you get to here, then you move into the center. So in the center is the figure Varochana, who, whereas the others have a geographical direction, northeast, south, and west, Varochana doesn't have any particular direction at all. So can you imagine being directionless? In a way, it means being completely spacious and open, a bit like the sky encompassing the whole world. Varochana encompasses everything. So it's that aspect of ourself which can either accommodate a lot of experience or gets overwhelmed by a lot of experience. Who gets overwhelmed by things? Yeah, okay, yeah. I know the feeling very well. So getting overwhelmed and not getting overwhelmed are interesting aspects of our human makeup. So if we tend to get overwhelmed, how can we move towards not getting overwhelmed? How can we move towards the center of the mandala to connect with the Buddha of complete, total, open spaciousness? It's quite mind-boggling. And on that note, I'm getting a nod from Vajragupta. So I'll stop talking there, and Vajragupta is going to tell us what's going to happen next.
Well, I'm going to say just a couple more words. So, yeah, Bodhivajra talked about the Buddha that most attracted him when he first came across the 5 Buddha mandala. So I'll just say very briefly what mine was, which was the Eastern Buddha, the deep blue Akshobhya. And the reason I'm mentioning it is because each of these Buddhas is associated with some aspect of ourselves that we want